All right, let's dive into a really fascinating idea today. It's a concept that helps explain a pattern you've definitely seen before, whether in history, art, or business. It's a French term, la bougeotte, and honestly, it might just change how you think about pioneers, progress, and yeah, the power of being restless. So let's kick things off with a mystery, a puzzle I like to call the pioneer's paradox. We all know the stories, right? These brilliant, game-changing innovators who struggled their entire lives only to have other people build massive empires on top of their ideas. It feels so unfair, but what if it's not an accident? What if it's actually a fundamental rule of how progress really works? So, here it is, the big question we're tackling. Why do the people who literally invent the future so rarely get to enjoy it, while the people who just follow their lead end up reaping all the rewards? It's a really strange pattern, and you see it just about everywhere. Okay, let's take a classic, almost perfect example. Vincent van Gogh. This guy completely shattered the artistic rules of his day. He left that safe, comfortable territory of painting what you see, and he jumped headfirst into this brand new world of painting what you feel, using color and brushstrokes as pure emotion. And what was his reward for this incredible visionary leap? He died broke, having sold maybe one single painting. Just one. Meanwhile, the artists who were super successful back then, they're mostly forgotten. But Van Gogh's vision, that was inherited by generations of artists. It became the new mainstream. He paid the ultimate price, and everyone else got the benefit. And this isn't just an artsy thing, not at all. Let's look at Marie Curie. Her story is such a powerful example of this paradox in the world of science. I mean, she didn't just make a discovery. Her entire life was basically an act of defiance against the established order. Get this, she discovered radioactivity, she coined the term radioactivity, and she was the first person in history to win 2 Nobel Prizes. And even with all that, the scientific establishment of her day pushed back against her, hard. In 1911, the French Academy of Sciences actually rejected her application for membership. She was the pioneer, and they were the ones lagging behind. So how in the world do we make sense of this pattern, this recurring story of the pioneer's sacrifice? Well, the source material for this explainer gives us a fantastic mental model for it, and it comes from this simple, wonderful French phrase, la bougeotte. So la bougeotte, it literally translates to something like the wiggles or an inability to stay still, restlessness. But what we're talking about here is so much deeper. Think of it as an evolutionary gamble. It's the act of leaving a safe, predictable world for a new, often hostile one. The person who makes that move pays a huge immediate cost for some long-term advantage that, you guessed it, mostly benefits their successors. This is really the core philosophy of the whole thing. Staying still might feel safe, but you're really just optimizing for a world that's already disappearing. To move, to embrace that restlessness, well, that's making a high-stakes bet on the future. Okay, so this isn't just some vague poetic idea. It actually follows a clear, predictable pattern. You can break it down into a 4-act structure that you'll start seeing everywhere once you know what to look for. It always unfolds in these 4 acts. First, departure. Someone bravely leaves the safety of the known world. Then, bam, crisis. They face incredible hardship. They pay that pioneer's price. But then comes transmission. Their big breakthrough is inherited by others who didn't have to pay that initial cost. And finally, the dominance shift. That radical new idea becomes the new normal, and the old way of doing things gets left in the dust. This framework is so useful because we can just overlay it directly onto the stories we've been talking about. So let's circle back to Marie Curie and see how her story fits this perfectly. Curie's departure was actually a double departure. First, she left the social territory that said women couldn't be world-class scientists. But she also left the known world of physics to enter a completely new and, as it turns out, literally dangerous territory, radioactivity. And her crisis? Wow, it can be summed up by this one unbelievable number, 2. That's the number of votes that kept her out of the French Academy of Sciences even after she'd won her 2nd Nobel Prize. She also paid the ultimate price, eventually dying from radiation exposure. The costs for her were absolutely immense. And this quote just nails the final 2 acts. Curie, the pioneer, was excluded. The next generation of scientists, the heirs, inherited the entire new field of physics she created. And the laggard, the Academy, is now famous for that one act of exclusion. That's transmission and dominant shift, all in one sentence. Okay, let's jump to a more modern example. Steve Jobs. His departure was leaving the world of computers that was all about specs, processing power, function over everything. He moved into a totally new territory where the feel, the design, the whole sensory experience was what mattered most. You can see the whole four-act play right here. 1985 is his crisis. He gets fired from his own company for the very vision that would later save it. 2007 is the beginning of the dominant shift, when the iPhone just completely rewrites the rules for an entire industry. And today, it's total transmission. Everybody is now playing on the field that Steve Jobs created. So, what's the bottom line here? Why does this really matter to us today? Well, this isn't just some neat historical pattern. It's a fundamental operator. It's how real advantage gets created in any system that can evolve, whether that's biology, business, or art. The really key insight here is that La Bougeotte isn't just a story, it's a mechanism. Staying put, being stable, all that really means is you're getting really, really good at playing yesterday's game. Movement, that restlessness, that's your bet that the whole game is about to change. And at the end of the day, the price you pay for moving now is almost always cheaper than the price you'll pay for being left behind later. So I want to leave you with this final, really powerful idea. Think of it as a challenge. What are the safe, stable territories in your own life, in your own work, in your own way of thinking? Because if the logic of La Bougeotte holds true, those might be the very places you need to find the courage to leave. Thanks for tuning in.